All right, guys. Left off at chapter 14. Ready? Oh, yeah. Ava had just walked into her room and Athena was there. Okay. The goddess turned around. Oh, Ava, she said with a loud sniff. Was she mean to you too? Ava was thoroughly confused. I'm sorry, who? Athena, Athena said. She basically told me I was pathetic, a monster, and a loser. Even though her voice sounded exactly like Athena's, Ava knew the goddess would never say anything like this. Layla? What? You've got to see this. Ava dragged her over to their closet. A mirror hung inside. You mean my hair? Oh, no, not just that, Ava said, yanking open the door. Layla's, or rather Athena's, gray eyes widened at the sight of herself. Her skin glowed like Athena's, and she was tall with the same fierce expression. She touched her face and pinched her arms. So Layla has shapeshifted into Athena. Ah, what Athena was teasing her for not being able to do, right? You really shapeshifted, Ava said, like all the way. Athena said only she could turn into people. Ha! But Layla was breathing fast. I need to talk to Miss Demi now. Ava shut the closet door. She didn't blame Layla for freaking out, especially now that she knew how cruel Athena could be. The goddess wouldn't be happy about this. Relax. We'll just go over right now. It's her free period. What if Athena sees me? Miss Cleo was taking her back to Mr. Orion's office, Ava said, thinking out loud. So she's on the first floor. She'll see me. She'll think I'm making fun of her. We just need to get past Mr. Orion's office door. Once we get up the stairs, we'll be fine. Come on, this is our only chance before the period ends. Layla grabbed Ava's hand and they ran down the empty corridor until they were just around the corner from Mr. Orion's office. Ava peered out, then darted back and put a finger to her lips. Zale was knocking on Mr. Orion's office door. Layla and Ava crouched down and waited. Come on in, Zale, Mr. Orion said. I called you out of class because Athena wanted to thank you. Ava tried to ignore the sting that Athena wanted to thank only Zale. At least they knew for certain that the goddess was inside. The moment Zale closed the door behind him, Ava and Layla raced past Mr. Orion's office and up the stairs to Miss Demi's classroom on the second floor. There was no one in the hallway, though Ava could hear the hum of conversation behind the closed doors where classes were taking place. They were halfway down the corridor when a door opened. You have 5 minutes, Miss Mora said over her shoulder to the class inside. Layla shot a panicked glance at Ava, but Ava put her finger to her lips. Miss Mora closed the door and, upon spotting them, bowed deeply. Pallas Athena. Layla gave a curt nod. Hello, Miss Mora, Ava said. I'm taking Athena to see Miss Demi. Oh, of course. Are you enjoying your visit, Pallas Athena? Layla frowned. I do not envy you the task of trying to rehabilitate children like these. Ava sniffed and looked away, trying not to laugh. Oh, it's not easy, Miss Mora agreed, but it does have its rewarding moments. Layla gave her a skeptical look, then waved Ava onward. You were perfect, Ava whispered as soon as Miss Mora was out of earshot. I was terrified I was going to change back to myself in the middle of that, Layla said. Ava grinned. That wouldn't have been one of Miss Mora's rewarding moments. I'm glad you're finding the humor in this. Layla knocked on Miss Demi's classroom door first softly, then louder and more urgently. The door flew open and Miss Demi stared sternly at Layla. Athena! What a great surprise. Not Pallas Athena, Ava noticed, just Athena. It's me, Layla. Miss Demi blinked. It really is, Ava said. She shape-shifted completely. And I don't know how to become myself again, Layla added. Miss Demi pulled them inside and closed the door. Ava was surprised to see Arnold sitting beside Miss Demi's desk. He scrambled to his feet, nearly tripping over them in his haste to stand. Pallas Athena! Relax, it's just Ava. It's just Layla, Ava said. She transformed into Athena by accident. What are you doing here? Arnold blushed. He's just helping me out, Miss Demi said. Arnold looked at her. No, you can tell the truth. I get anxious sometimes, and Miss Demi counsels me. Is this about you not having developed any powers yet? Layla asked. A little, Arnold admitted. He scrunched up his face at her. It's really weird talking to you when you look like that. Layla turned to Miss Demi. What am I going to do? I can't stay like this. Don't panic, Layla, Miss Demi said. Let's just start at the beginning. What happened before you transformed? Layla explained what Athena had said to her at lunch, how she had felt so hurt that afterwards she had gone back to her room and cried into her pillow. I was so angry at her that you transformed into her, Miss Demi said gently. It makes perfect sense. Powers get triggered by emotions, and you just discovered the strongest part of yours. If you want to control it, then you need to control your emotions. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Arnold gestured to the seat next to Miss Demi's desk. Layla sat down and closed her eyes. Think about who you are, not the way someone like Athena thinks of you, but who you are on the inside, Miss Demi said. Now take control of your anger. Put it away. Athena shrunk in her chair. Her face broadened. Her gossamer hair gown turned into jeans and a t-shirt. Her gray eyes darkened. It's working, Ava said. Miss Demi opened a drawer of her desk and pulled out a hand mirror. Look, Layla, she said, holding it up to her. Layla opened her eyes and smiled. It's me. Her eyes were green with flecks of yellow, and her dark hair was wavy, a combination that suited her so well that Ava wondered if it was her original one. Miss Demi put down the mirror and took Layla's hand. You have a very dangerous power. Gods can impersonate mortals, but it's a rare mortal who can impersonate a god. Use it wisely, Layla. Don't get yourself in trouble. My dogs see the other dogs walking and they want to say hi, I guess, which is very loud. I'm sorry. Miss Demi's advice reminded Ava of someone else's. Did my mom ever get in trouble? Girls, enough, enough. It's just your friends walking. Come in here. Sit down. You're fine. You're fine. Okay? Miss Demi gave her a strange look. You said she was feisty, Ava said. Your mother learned the lessons of the academia through experience, Miss Demi said quietly. Then she strode to the door and waved them out. The bell's about to ring, and I have an appointment. You three should go. But wait, Ava said, what do you mean through experience? You'll have to ask her yourself. Excuse me now, someone's waiting to see me. Ava spun around to find Cassie standing behind her. Her eyes bored into Ava's and began to flutter. But before they could roll back in her head and she could utter another one of her prophecies, Miss Demi swiftly ushered Cassie inside and closed the door. Miss Demi seems like she's like everybody's favorite, doesn't she? Seems like she's the helpful one. All right, chapter 15. On the way back from Miss Demi's office, Ava, Layla, and Arnold bumped into Fia. Ava thought she looked remarkably relaxed for someone who'd just been sent to the headmaster's office for offending a major goddess. Mr. Orion didn't give you a strike? Ava asked hopefully. Oh, he gave me a strike, yeah, Fia said, and a long warning about how I was on the road to being expelled if I didn't improve my attitude. But on the bright side, I got to miss the rest of Miss Cleo's class. She grinned, but Ava didn't feel like smiling back. Expelled? The academia wouldn't be half as fun without Fia. Layla and Arnold exchanged worried glances. They didn't seem to be finding the humor in Fia's situation either. What's wrong with a lot of you? Fia said. It's just a first strike, and it was completely worth it, wasn't it, Ava? That stuck up a thing. Shh! Layla's hissed. You want a second one? Arnold swiveled his head, looking for any sign of the goddess. It was, Ava said quietly. We just don't want you writing Mr. Orion one of those letters. Ha! Fia said. You never have to worry about that. But Ava knew Fia wasn't reassuring them that she wouldn't get in trouble again. She was saying she'd never regret it. It wasn't until the end of dinner that Ava found a chance to pull Fia aside and ask her if they could talk privately. Fia immediately agreed, but they couldn't find a place. Layla and Arnold were hanging out in Ava's room. Cassie was doing homework in Fia's, and kids were milling around the school, studying or visiting with friends. How about one of the classrooms? Fia asked. They had never been explicitly told to stay out of them after hours. Still, Ava was not sure to pick Miss Cleo's in case the mythology teacher wandered in and spotted Fia, and the design lab was locked for everyone's safety. Mr. Moros's room was dark and cheerless. He hated colors other than black. And Miss Demi's office had a light under the door. She was probably doing some after hours counseling. Ava finally ushered Fia into Miss Mora's classroom. The ancient teacher didn't seem like a night owl, and if she did shuffle in, Ava could say that she'd gone back to get a book she'd left behind. Miss Mora's classroom was decorated with ornate family trees of animals, heroes, and monsters. An enormous yarn and wire creation hung from the ceiling. Miss Mora had wasted no time on their first day explaining that it was a representation of a double helix, the basic building block of DNA, or the genetic code. The next day, she'd illustrated the human life cycle by transforming herself into a baby that grew up and aged into a wrinkled old woman before their eyes. The room had plenty of student chairs and desks, but Fia hopped defiantly onto Miss Mora's desk. Ava sat down across from her on one of the student desks. You want to lecture me more about my strike? Fia asked with a playful smile. A part of Ava did. The same part that was constantly reminding herself to behave. But that wasn't what she'd asked Fia. That wasn't why she'd asked Fia to come. I want to thank you, Ava said, for defending Medusa. I had forgotten about that version of her story. In every other, she's the absolute worst monster of them all. I don't think she's the worst, Fia said. Look at it from her point of view. Men are constantly invading her home and trying to cut off her head. That wouldn't put me in such a good mood either. Ava felt like throwing her arms around Fia, but she just stood up and joined her on Miss Mora's desk. There's also something I want to tell you. I know who I'm descended from. I think I've known all along. She waited to see if Fia might take a guess, but Fia just nodded and said, Go on. Ava stared down at her feet. Medusa. Fia gave a warm chuckle. Figured out as much today. The way you looked in Miss Cleo's class when Athena was going off about her. Ava twisted her hands together in panic. Wasn't that obvious? Do you think everyone knows? Doubt it. I'm sure everyone else just thought you were stressed out by guiding around Athena. In case you didn't notice, that suck-up Cyclops Zale was the only kid who actually liked her. But I also know a few things about you that no one else does that now make sense. Like, you adore snakes. And you don't care for sharp blades. True, Ava said. And I've got this wild hair. Fia gently pulled out one of Ava's tight curls. It's great hair, except it doesn't hiss and slither. That would be even better. Ava grinned. Only in your world. For now, though, promise me you won't tell anyone else, okay? Even Layla and Arnold. I'll tell them when I'm ready. Don't worry, I'm not a snitch. Fia bumped her shoulder against Ava's. But you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are, Ava, no matter what Athena or anyone else says. Ava was stunned. Even her mom had acted as if their ancestry was something to hide. But maybe Medusa wasn't as bad as everyone said. Maybe Fia was right, and she'd had a reason to be angry. Tears welled in Ava's eyes. She blinked them away. So you're okay being friends with a Gorgon? Fia looked straight at her. Hello? I've waited my whole life to be friends with a Gorgon. But you need to tell me this right now. Have you turned anyone into stone yet? Because that would be brilliant. No, Ava said, but I think I did something close. The Owen story poured out of her. When Ava reached the part when Owen froze in place, drool dripping down his chin, Fia applauded heartily. He deserved it. I wish I had a power like that. Sophie, 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 come here. Sophie. Oh, honey, quit barking. Sophie, Sophie. I am so sorry. I can't control her, obviously, right? Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, we're going to keep going. I hope you guys can hear me over the barking. He did deserve it, Ava said. It felt good to say. It wasn't as if she'd just decided to freeze Owen. He'd bullied her into getting what he wanted. Just like Medusa, she'd had a reason to be angry. Have you frozen anyone else? Fia asked eagerly. Ava shook her head. I'm not even sure I could do it again. With Owen, it just happened. And anyways, I don't want to get in trouble. Sometimes it's worth it, Fia said. Was it? Ava pictured Zale leading the entire school in a chant of Gorgon Girl, and her mom, Jax, Mr. Orion, and Miss Cleo all shaking their heads in disappointment at her lack of control. Are you sure you don't have any powers? She asked, changing the subject. If I did, I would have used them on Miss Cleo long ago. Ava smiled. I'm glad you don't, then. I need you here. Remember how Mr. Moros fainted on the first day? I thought maybe you did that. Me? Pia said. I wish I could take credit, but sounds more like something your people might do. Does Jax have any powers yet? No, Ava said. But there had been other people. There had been another one of her people, as Fia called them, out on the porch that afternoon. My mom was there, but she's always been super controlled. She never gets angry, never picks fights, just wants everyone to get along. I can't imagine her even disagreeing with a teacher. Forget about attacking one. But according to Miss Demi, she was feisty when she was young, Thea said thoughtfully. What would make her want to fight again? It would have to be something big, like taking her kids away. But she wanted us to come to the academia, Ava started to say. Then she remembered the phone conversation she had walked in on after freezing Owen and her mom's forceful, absolutely not. She was certain now that someone from the academia had been on the phone, ordering her mother to send them. What else would explain the way she had looked, her hair all out of place after she'd hung up? Even the Christmas cookies and cocoa now told a different story, that of a mom trying to enjoy a last happy moment with her children. She didn't have a choice, did she? Thea shook her head. Knowing this made Ava miss her mom even more. Like Miss Demi and Persephone, the gods had torn them apart. That must have been why she was so upset when she had to say goodbye to me and Jax after orientation. She couldn't even talk. Thea hopped off Miss Morrow's desk and began to pace. If she was that upset, she could have frozen Mr. Morrow's. But there's something else that worries me. If this school was really so great, your mom wouldn't be that upset about leaving you here. There's something off about it. Anytime we question the stories they teach us or suggest there's a different way of seeing things, they say we're causing trouble. Everyone's always going on about how we have to learn to control ourselves, but the male gods don't have to control themselves, do they? They just start wars and carry off women and slay some supposed monster because she looks at them wrong. The creak of a footstep from the hallway outside made Ava start. She whispered in warning. I don't care. Let them hear me, Thea said, but she stopped her rant. Mr. Morrow's probably just fainted, Ava said loudly, that anyone standing outside Miss Morrow's door could hear. It was hot out there. Thea grabbed a scrap of paper and a pen off Miss Morrow's desk and scribbled on it. Then she slid the paper to Ava. It read, You need to talk to your mom. Yikes. I'm going to stop right there. That was 14 and 15. Oh my.